I know you'll like this. Prisoners working out. Boom.
Boom.
There you go. Dealing with the real big issues, man.
Yeah.
Getting the animations in. I think that makes quite a difference, there, doesn't it? Don't you think that looks really cool?
It makes a massive difference.
It does, doesn't it? That's got that sort of. Some of them are like bare-chested and shit while they're doing it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got that slightly intimidating dudes working out thing going on, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
We really need to get like the Rocky theme playing at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Just gently in the background. Right, let's get on with this.
All right, what's new then?
What is new? You have been spending the last month working on the iPad version.
That's right.
So I'm not expecting to see a huge amount in this alpha video because you warned me.
That's right. I did warn you. I said that we were going to spend the whole month, me and Johnny spent the whole month focusing on the iPad and Android version. And,
yeah, that's right. Tablet version, must say tablet
version.
Android.
Yeah, that's right.
Android people too.
And we've had a guy in called Andrew Church working on it already for quite a while now, a few months actually. So we don't want to get anyone the impression that we did it all this month, right? Because that just perpetuates the bullshit myth that these projects can be accomplished in just a few weeks. You know, if you put your head to it. Actually, it's months and months of work to get to this point. But what you're looking at here, believe it or not, is actually the iPad version.
No way!
This is the iPad version. Right? Yeah, it is. Do you want me to prove it to you?
Yes.
There you go. Meow.
That's brilliant.
There you go. There's my iPad.
What's that? Prison Architect 2?
There isn't anything compromising on there. No, I think.
Have you worked on? You've been working on the sequel.
I think it's all right. Those are just other test builds. But there you go.
Yeah.
So there's my iPad, right? And then I can fire up Prison Architect, and there we are running. And it's actually running quite nicely. I think you'll agree. Let's see.
What sort of frame rate are we looking at?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't tell me on screen, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Feeling good.
Yeah. Now I'm using QuickTime to record straight video off the iPad, which seems to be the best general way. But I can see from looking at my Mac laptop that QuickTime actually isn't recording 100% of the frames anyway. So just when you said there, what's the frame rate like? I just looked over at my Mac laptop and it was stuttering all over the place. And my iPad was perfectly smooth. And let's try an actual prison, like something a bit bigger.
Yeah. That's a big thing.
This is always a nice prison. I really like this prison. It looks really good. Its layout's really cool. You can see actually more than frame rate, memory usage is actually the big thing. Tablets. I mean, Prison Architect was pretty notorious for happily using like a gigabyte of RAM while it was running.
Yeah.
Whereas actually in the bottom right, you can see we've got it down to about 260 megabytes on this level.
I mean, that must have an awesome effect on the desktop version as well, right?
It will do on low-spec desktops. Generally speaking, PCs, decently powerful PCs, don't care how much memory your app is using.
Right.
But on a lower-powered computer that is struggling to run Prison Architect, definitely having a 1/4 the size memory footprint will make a positive difference.
Yeah. Make a huge difference.
Yeah, but this is running very nicely. So there's 130-odd prisoners here. This is a medium size or a large size map. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. Well, it looks quite large to me.
Yeah. I don't know. It's looking pretty good.
It's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So how does it work then? What are the interface and things? How's it?
Yeah. Well, I'll show you. I just built some basic stuff. Let's have a look. Start a blank prison. So you can see there's a few extra things on screen that aren't on the desktop version, like this selection button, for example. So one of the most common problems that we have, obviously, is that on the PC you can just click and drag these guys.
Got a pointer, haven't you?
Yeah, with your mouse, right? But click and drag, as you can see from my camera shot here of me operating the iPad, is in use for camera movement, right? So you single finger drag to move the camera around, and then you 2-finger pinch zoom, just like on every other iPad app. So so stuff like guard selection needed its own button, so you can actually do guard selection. And then normally you would right click to move your guards, whereas on tablet you'd press and hold, right?
Okay.
You press and hold, and that gets you your movement instruction.
That's nice though. That's nice. Nice bit of feedback with the.
You get the little UI circle, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
We spent a while messing with that. Stuff like construction is just as it always was, right? You just drag out the things that you want to build.
Yeah.
Same for materials, really. We've added a few things because it's pretty common to misclick on tablets. If you misclick like this, say, You see me tapping it a few backs.
Yeah.
You'll see there's a little undo button down here in the bottom right corner. We don't quite have any graphics for it yet. If I click on that a few times, it just undoes all the jobs that I just queued up in reverse order.
Nice.
Pretty cool stuff, right? You can't avoid a little bit of misclicking because the user's click dragging and double finger zooming and stuff. Every now and then it just happens.
It's going to happen. So what about object placement then? That's
right, so object placement. Yeah, so normally what you do is you would pick something like a door now, right, and then click where you want it to go. And what always happens is people would click in the wrong place on the tablet. Because one of those things about tablets is that when you touch the screen, the point at which you touch the screen and the way the tablet recognises your touch are not the same thing.
Right.
They're actually always out by sort of half a centimetre or so.
Blind.
Because the tip of your finger it's not a point, right?
Yeah, I know, but half a centimetre is huge.
It's a psychological thing. It's not an inaccuracy in the screen. It's where you think you're tapping versus...
Your perception of tapping on the screen is about half a centimetre away from the actual
pretty much,
location.
Yeah, that's what we've found. And I think there's been articles written about that. I remember most games and most apps just compensate for it by slightly altering where they assume your tap was. Yeah, so the way that object placement works is that you use this crosshair thing that pop.
Yeah.
So to get around the problem of your finger being so dreadfully inaccurate, we put this crosshair in, right? So at any zoom level, you can single finger drag to move around where it's going to be. And you can zoom. You can still pinch zoom, and you can do two finger drag if you need to move the view around at this point.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But it doesn't place until you actually tap. So you just get it wherever you want, and then you just tap anywhere on the screen, and it places it. And we found that seems to be a good compromise for accurate placement. So if you look at like a pool table, which is not a particularly good example, the rotation button as well, where normally you would middle click on the PC, but here we have to have a separate rotation button, so you can tap these things down like this. And so it seems to feel quite intuitive. Well, it'd be interesting to see what the first batch of testers think of it all.
Well, that's it. We need to get feedback on the iPad or the tablet version for bugs, obviously, because there'll be some in there because a lot of the bugs will come across from the main game, but also the interface and how people find it, with lots of hours of gameplay, whether it's frustrating or not.
Yeah.
So we've been doing a bit of work recently to try and get people to sign up to our mailing list so that we can let them all know when we're going to be recruiting testers for the tablet version. We're going to give out lots of free copies because we can do that now with TestFlight. And there's a URL on the screen now, and if you hit that URL, you'll be taken to the mailing list sign-up page. You can sign up there, and as soon as we're ready for tablet testers, we will drop you an email and let you know.
Yeah. It's cool.
It is very
Hopefully quite soon. I'm feeling like it should be quite soon, to be honest. I'm feeling like we're ready for a batch of testers to be coming in now. I mean, what are we actually going to do? I mean, by all rights, we should have made it a free-to-play game now, and I should have had to pay $1 to finish those foundations off within the next 24 hours. There should be a timer on screen saying your workman will finish this job in 4 hours. Or you can pay 100 introversion points now.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get an introversion point every second, or you can buy them now.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like that idea.
No, I don't like that idea either. I don't like that idea.
I mean,
I guess we'll just sell it.
I think we should sell it. The game hasn't taken any longer. The game hasn't taken any less time.
Yeah.
To develop for tablet, right?
Well, I guess we've had a freelancer working on it for a few months, and now me and Johnny have spent all month working on this.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is, we charge a certain amount on PC, and it'll have to be a little less on tablet. There's no getting away for that. But the thought that we're going to be selling this for $1 or $2, no.
Well, no, it doesn't make any sense, does it? It is the same game. I mean, the jury's still out in my mind about whether we put. I mean, we could put population caps in them, and we were thinking about it at one point, because tablets are not as powerful as PCs, generally speaking. But actually, there's as much range in tablet power as there is in PC power, and we don't population cap the PC version.
No, and tablet power is going to keep going up as well, isn't it? You don't know when Apple are going to release their next tablet or Google. Or...
There was one that we tested it on that ran at 55 frames a second.
Blimey.
Yeah.
So what was that?
I tweeted about it. It was a HTC something.
Right.
It's really nice, actually. It ran it really well.
Yeah.
But I can show you as well. I know you can't actually see this at the moment, but I can show you the same thing. This is a Samsung Galaxy Tab 3. Right. Which is actually quite a nice little tablet. But it's quite old now. It's they've made a couple of newer generations since then. And this is the same game basically running on the Android tablet with all the same interfaces. It's got a really nice screen. It's like a much wider screen as well than the iPad.
Yeah, they use different ratios, didn't they?
Yeah, and it's not as powerful as the iPad. It doesn't run the bigger prisms at the same frame rate, but it does run it nicely. I think in the Android world in particular, we're going to find, in the Apple world, there's not that many iPads to worry about, and we know it's going to require an iPad 3 or later. I can safely say that at this point. But in the Android world, there's a huge amount of variety in the quality of these devices. And there's been quite a few Android tablets that have come out relatively recently with really, really high resolution screens. So they're competing with Apple on the Retina screen. So these are things
just
that
looking
a 7-inch screen that's running at like 2560 by 1600. Complete insanity. But unlike Apple, they don't upgrade the graphics hardware in the device to compensate.
Yeah.
So when Prison Architect fires up on these tablets, it runs terribly. It runs at like 5 frames a second because they've put the screen in, but they haven't put the graphics hardware in the
to drive it.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I look at this, I think tablets are wonderful devices. They're wonderful ways to interact with software, right?
Yeah.
Just sort of going back to first principles. And there's a place to sit down at your desk and use a desktop, but then there's also a place to just sort of curl up on the sofa with your with your iPad or your Android tablet, or on the train or whatever.
Yeah.
And I want Introversion to, when the games are right, and Prison Architect is clearly right in terms of the way in which you interact with it. When the game is right to be on a tablet, I want us to be able to put it on the tablet, but I want it to be cost effective to do so.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm just frustrated that the market there is for $1 and $2.
It is frustrating. It is, because you mentioned the train. I would love to have some really good games to play on my iPad when I'm on the train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So let's see. There we go. We're back in desktop land now.
Ah, okay. Yes.
So we're looking at the Mac laptop now. I suppose we should look at some non-tablet related work, shouldn't we?
Well, we should look at new work if there's anything to look at.
New work, yes. Now I did say that it wouldn't be as big an alpha as usual.
Yes.
Because we really did have to spend quite a lot of time to get that tablet stuff working.
Yeah.
But that said, there are some quite nice new features to show.
The guys have been working in the background.
Yeah. Well, we all have. All right. Let's have a look at a prison. This is a nice prison, isn't it?
Yes, it is a nice prison.
For some reason, it's called Fox River, which I think was the name of the prison from Prison Break, isn't it?
Hey, I can't actually remember the name of the prison from Prison Break.
I'm pretty sure it's Fox River. So, intake there. Prisoner arrivals.
Reception.
Previously, prisoners would just show up every day, a reasonably random number. On the first day you got 8.
Yeah.
On the second day you got 8, and then from then on you got somewhere between 16 and 30, I think, randomly.
Yeah.
And you could choose the categories, and that was the extent of it. That system, we've replaced it with something much better. Now you have an intake control tab.
Ooh.
Here it is.
Okay.
Here's our new tab. Now this governs how many prisoners will be arriving at our prison tomorrow at 8 a.m, 15 hours from now. It says we're going to get 20 maximum security prisoners.
Okay.
Right? And I can change it. I can adjust this number. I can say I only want 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Or I only want 5. Or I want all of them.
Whoa.
Right? Now if I select all of them, the ratio sliders adjust how many of each category we actually are going to get.
Okay.
So I can say, all right, well, I want all the medium guys, but I don't want any of the maximum security guys, or something like that. I think what I'll do is I'm going to show you a prison where that is better demonstrated, because they only had max security prisoners in their intake pool.
Right.
Here we go. So these guys, for example, if we say that we want, and I say I only want 10 prisoners, 15 prisoners or something, right? By adjusting the sliders, you can actually adjust the ratio of each of the categories that you receive.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff, right?
That is cool.
That is cool. Now, why on earth would we do this? Well, there's a few reasons. There's different play styles which are not being coped with in the old way of doing it. In particular, some people love to build a huge prison and spend days and days and days laying it out. Right? They sell an old prison and they make like $1 million.
Yeah.
And then they don't let any prisoners in for like a week while they build the whole new prison.
Right.
Now, what will happen here, if you say none in your daily intake, the prisoners just go into this pool. That's what this available number is.
Okay.
Right? And so the pool of available prisoners actually increases every day that you don't take them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so after a few days of doing that, you have a pretty big pool available to you. And you can say, all right, bring them all in, right?
Yeah.
In this case, all of them is only 32 prisoners.
Yeah.
But it could be a lot more if you're ready for it. If your prison's ready to be opened, you can bring a lot in one go.
Oh, that's going to be brilliant. I want to see the videos of these prisoners just flowing in, fighting, trying to find cells and stuff.
300 prisoners arrive en masse. So that's the reason why you can regulate it. So if you want to, you can say, all right, let's bring them in, but only bring them in at like 20 a day. So that's all we can cope with. And the ratio at which you bring them in, you can see the intake box down here changing as I adjust the sliders.
Yeah.
It also affects the number of prisoners that will be available to you. Right, so if you start doing this, if you say, I only want max security prisoners, right, tomorrow, more maximum security prisoners will be available to you in the pool as compared to medium and minimum. See what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So the intake it tends towards what you want. So the word effectively gets around the kind of prisoners that you are looking for your prison.
There's something wrong with those ratio boxes, they're not right, those sliders.
In what sense?
Well, if you slide the third one down, right?
It doesn't do anything because the other two are closed in this case.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So in
this scenario with the other two closed, this ratio slide doesn't mean anything.
But they're not actually independent of each other, are they, the sliders? But they look like they are.
They are not connected.
Yeah.
So it's not like the humble slider where you adjust one and the others adjust.
Exactly, because the humble sliders are ratio sliders. These are some other strange invention.
No, they are a ratio. The humble slider's just normalized so it's always out of one. So that as you adjust this, if you drag this one down, this one drags up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Whereas these ones it's just a ratio in total. So if you do this, and this, you'll get twice as many max security as medium security, and twice as many medium as min. Right? So it's the ratio of each point compared to each other. Okay. Now, it's worth pointing out, though, that it can only make use of what's available in the pool.
Yeah, so there are limits on
it. So if you drag this one up, it's never going to go above 6 minimum security prisoners, because there aren't any more than 6. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Now, another thing that I've changed, and this is quite a big change, is that previously you used to get a grant for all your prisoners. Right? It showed up in finance.
Yeah.
You used to get 500, I can't remember what you got, $250 for a min per day.
Yeah.
No, it was less than that, wasn't it? I can't remember the numbers, but you got a fixed amount of money per day depending on the category of the prisoner.
Yeah.
And it was ripe for abuse because all you had to do was pick a prisoner and say, you're maximum security now.
Oh, okay.
And then you got more money for him every day.
Yeah.
Never made any sense. But on top of that, there's a second problem which I've attempted to solve in the same place, which is that once you've used up all the grants, there's no longer any real source of income.
Yeah, okay.
Big chunks of money, right, that you need to build whole new extension blocks and stuff. There's your cash flow, which is kind of designed to deal with your staff and daily costs.
Yeah.
But you should never really be relying on your cash flow just to up your bank balance until you can afford to build something.
Yeah.
That was always what the grants were for. So what happens now is you actually receive the money, you receive a large sum of money at the moment you take the prisoners.
Okay.
And this is the amount. So if you take every max security prisoner, it gets you $1,000.
Yeah, okay.
There and then. So if I close these down and I take 13 maximum security prisoners in, that's $13,000.
Yeah, okay. And that's a one-off payment, right?
A one-off payment.
Yeah.
The corollary being that the daily fee that you receive for your inmates is now less.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So in the finance screen, there's only a single prisoner grant. It's the same for all prisoners, regardless of category. Make sense?
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And if the prisoners will actually arrive...
Well, it'd be cool if it worked.
It does work. What do you mean it'd be cool if it worked?
If the prisoners arrive.
It'd be cool if the prisoners actually showed up. Yeah. Here we go. Here they are. And this is new too. Right, so no more prisoners arriving on the backs of delivery trucks.
Right, actually got a jail bus.
Now they actually arrive in a jail bus.
Brilliant.
And so there's a little bit of, just open that gate for them. There's a little bit of mystery about exactly who you're going to get.
Right.
So you know in here that you're going to get max security guys, right? But you don't know anything about them yet until they arrive, and then they just kind of file out one at a time. See, I think it's a visual change, but it's a much better arrival style,
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense for them to arrive like that, I think. Should we look at something else?
Yes.
I know you're going to love this feature, right? I'm just setting you up here, right? You're going to absolutely love it, right? You know wire mode?
Yeah.
Your favourite game mode in the game, wire mode?
Yeah.
Where you can wire shit together.
Yeah, where you can do like binary counters.
Yeah, you can do binary counters, but more importantly, you can do CCTV cameras and lock doors and shit. Well, I've been racking my brain for ages trying to figure out how the fuck to deal with this, right? Just the absolute clusterfuck that is the average wiring diagram for a prison. And I did try some automated methods for making the wires follow the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's never understandable. And then it hit me. Right? In a flash of inspiration, I realised we're actually making a construction game here in which the player is expected to build things.
Right.
And that the answer is to get the player to do it. So if you want to
untangle this mess.
If you want to untangle this horrific mess, you can. There's now a tidy wires button. Now in the tidy wires button, you pick on the object that you want to tidy, like say this particular CCTV monitor. It has these connections, and I can tidy it by clicking to create connection points on the wire, and I can then drag the wire around into wherever I want it to be. So let's say I drag it around to some little mythical junction box in this wall.
Yeah.
And then do the same for all the others, like so.
Okay.
Right, and then
I see. Yeah.
And so then you get a little bit more like a sort of bundle of wiring,
A loom.
A loom?
Yeah.
All right, I'll let you have that. A loom of wiring.
Call it a wiring loom.
Do they?
Hmm.
All right. Well, I'll take your word for it. And then then you can end up with much tidier wires. It doesn't take that long.
This tidying all of those wires in that massive bundle of mess. That is a 99-cent iPad game.
Right. Yeah. Maybe we should make a special a sub
Untangle wiring loom simulator.
So that's it. So you run this app.
Yeah.
And then you get a random prison who's some prisoner just clicks on the button and it says get some iPad gamer to detangle my wiring for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll think about that, mate.
Think about that.
I'll make a note of that in my notebook.
I'll file that under bullshit.
So basically, you can do that. It's completely optional. It doesn't really change anything. It's just a visual thing.
I love it, mate. I do actually love it. The pedant in me is excited.
Yeah, that's the thing. You see, and I would do this. I think that probably it'd be quite hard to start from this, but as you're building your prison, as you're building it up. I mean, obviously this has taken hours, right? This has taken the guy 20 hours to build this prison.
Yeah.
As you're doing it, you would spend a little bit of time now and then tidying up your wires, and then it would all be neat by the end, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Give you that nice feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
Good. I'm glad you like it. All right. I've got a series of relatively small improvements that we also made to the game this month.
Okay.
Let's see. Parole. As you know, we introduced parole last month. Prisoners would come up for parole halfway through their sentence, and the warden and the chief would oversee parole. Now, the big problem with this is that there's only one warden and one chief, right? So it's a pretty major bottleneck.
Yeah.
And once you get up to about 300 or 400 prisoners, actually there are more people being paroled per day than you can fit parole programs in. So we changed it, and now parole programs don't require the chief. Now they use a parole officer and a parole lawyer who are actually coming externally.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find some so we can have a look. Here we go. So these guys. So this guy's a parole officer. There he is.
Look at his face.
Look at his little face. And that's
I don't know who he
a
looks
teacher.
like, but
And that's a parole lawyer. All right, so there's always a lawyer and a parole hearing officer in every parole session.
Is that an intern carrying a box of legal books behind or something?
No, that's a teacher. Sexist.
No. They're carrying the books, not the girl.
Oh, and these guys. No, they're just your workmen. Yeah, and so it's only a small change, but it means that now you can have as many parole hearings as you want, side by side.
Yeah, okay. That's a good idea.
I think it was necessary.
Yeah, I think so too, especially in big prison.
Yeah. We also got rid of the fine. There was a fine. Let me see. Policy. Do you remember there was a parole policy, right?
Yeah.
And so you had this cut-off point, and 30% say. So that means any prisoner with less than 30% chance of reoffending would be paroled. And you would find $10,000 if he reoffended.
Big fine.
And you would gain $3,000 if he didn't.
Yeah.
Right? And people quite rightly realised that that's just a simple bet. Right? It's just a bet. If your prisoner has you're saying you can lose 10,000 and you can gain 3,000. Right? And your chance is 30%. Right?
So you know where to set it, don't you?
You can calculate exactly where to set it.
Where to set it.
The answer is 23%, I think.
Yeah.
Any higher than 23% is a completely irrational setting, because you will actually, if you set it to 50%,
you're going to lose money.
Half the time you're going to lose 10,000, and half the time you're going to gain 3,000. So you're going to be at a net loss.
Yeah.
So the correct setting for the parole slider was always 23%.
Right.
I don't really know. Where did we learn game design, honestly?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not quite that simple. I mean, the thing is that this doesn't actually set the chance, it's the cutoff.
Yeah.
So your prisoners might have a chance of 5%. Right? This is just the cutoff. So it's not actually as simple as people made out.
Yeah.
But we got rid of the fine and we kept the bonus. So you still get the bonus if you successfully parole someone who doesn't reoffend. And the bonus is still $3,000, I think. And so you want that bonus, right? You could be paroling 10 guys in a day easily. Right? You
just parole everyone now?
No, you can't parole everyone, because if they reoffend, you don't get the bonus. Right?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter, because if 10 people reoffend, you get the warning message that pops up. It says, 10 people have reoffended.
Oh, okay.
Put a stop to this. Yeah. And if 5 more people reoffend in the next 48 hours, then you get fired.
So that's the pressure, isn't it? That's the downward pressure on not letting people out.
That's the downward pressure, and that's enough of a downward pressure.
Yeah.
But it's relatively easy to avoid. If you get the warning message, you can just drag the cutoff to 0 and not parole anybody.
Yeah.
Right? And then in the next alpha, I'm going to make it so that's going to piss all your prisoners off big time.
Yeah, okay.
God, the prison's on fire.
Jesus! Get the fireman in.
No, they can't be asked.
He's just going to let it burn.
Let it burn! We've made one other change. I've got one more thing to tell you about, which is that solitary confinement, when they're in solitary, you can put them in solitary for as long as you like, right? You can you can say, 24 hours in solitary, and it just stacks up. They just get longer and longer in solitary. And they don't get fed. It's a bit weird. I mean, obviously, guys in solitary would get fed in every prison. And so they do now. There isn't much to show. Your guards will take food to the prisoners when they're in solitary and give it to them. The interesting side effect of this is that some players, not all, but some players have abused this feature in the past to murder prisoners that they don't like.
Yeah.
So, particularly sort of
naughty players,
extremely volatile, maximum security prisoners. Extremely volatile, extremely deadly. The sort that just wreck your prison for fun. Players have figured out that they can just lock them in solitary for a week, and then lock them in solitary another week, and leave them there until they die of starvation.
And they'll just die of starvation,
which I think is pretty mean.
That is a mean.
Well, you can't do it anymore because now they'll be fed.
Right.
Although Andrew Lynn did point out to me that they won't if you set the door to be locked shut. So
don't give that away.
So we'll think about whether we want to leave that particular.
Don't give that away.
There are other ways to murder prisoners. I mean, I saw one prison on the workshop that had it had a solitary confinement wing, right at the very edge of the prison, like right here on the very, very border. Yeah. And it had an external door. Right, and it had armed guards stationed on either side with shotguns. Right. And I know exactly what that's for, right? Yeah. They just open that door whenever they want to throw out the trash. Right. Yeah. The prisoners go into escape mode and make a run for it because it's right by the exit. And then as they're running out, they get shot by the shotgun guards.
Oh, it's horrible. It's like the end of some horrible 1970s dystopian movie.
Yeah. All right, that's just about everything, mate. I'll just I think I'm going to show you this badass prison that I found on Steam Workshop. It's absolutely fantastic. This is it's not the biggest population prison we've ever seen, but just the layout of it I just think looks absolutely fantastic. It looks so cool, isn't it?
Look at that.
Let's advance time a little bit. Look at the size of it. Everywhere you go, there's just masses and masses of stuff going on.
It's just so much detail, isn't there?
Yeah. We've made a very detailed game. And I think the thing is it's taken players to actually build prisons like this. There's no way There's no way. There's 62 hours of gameplay in this prison alone. Yeah, so it's insanity. But I love this. I love the scale of it and everything. I love how much stuff is going on wherever you look.
Yeah, absolutely. The complexity of the simulation, the detail.
Yeah, the layers and layers of simulation exist on every. Look at that. It's really neat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that. It's super.
Right. Cue the outro.
All right, everybody, that is all from us for the Alpha 30 Prison Architect Alpha update video. We have mostly been working on the tablet version this month, we said before, so stand by for an email from us talking about how you can get involved with helping us test that out. Otherwise, I hope you have a thoroughly fantastic March, and we will see you at the end for the Alpha 31 video. Cheerio!